A short time ago here on the NBC campus in Burbank, President Obama sat down with the big man on campus for an interview.
You and Hillary had lunch last night. Who invited who to lunch? I'm curious.
I invited her.
Okay.
And we had a great time. She had that post-administration glow.
Yeah.
You know, when folks leave the White House, like 2 weeks later, they look great.
President Obama is the first sitting president to appear on The Tonight Show, but he is one of many presidential candidates who appeared on the show before winning the presidency. Here is Senator Barack Obama's first appearance on The Tonight Show in 2006.
You admit to smoking pot in the book?
Not recently.
Not recently.
This is when I was in high school. Thank you, Jay. I just want to
Senator.
clarify.
Now I have to ask this question. Remember, Senator, you are under oath. Did you inhale?
Yeah. Well, you know, I was telling somebody asked this question. I said that was the point. I don't mean to make light of it, but I do think that one of the things that hopefully you try to do when you're in public life is to acknowledge, look, I'm not perfect, and I've made mistakes, and the question is, do you learn from your mistakes? Do you grow from your mistakes? And hopefully, you know, I have.
Here's more of what President Obama told Jay tonight.
You spoke very eloquently about the Trayvon Martin case, and I could tell that you were speaking from the heart. And tell me about that.
Well, you know, I think all of us were troubled by what happened, and any of us who are parents can imagine the heartache that those parents went through. It doesn't mean that Trayvon was a perfect kid. None of us were. We were talking off stage. You know, when you're a teenager, especially a teenage boy,
right,
you're going to mess up. And you won't always have the best judgment. But what I think all of us agree to is that we should have a criminal justice system that's fair, that's just. And what I wanted to try to explain was why this was a particularly sensitive topic for African-American families, because, you know, a lot of people who have sons know the experience they had of being followed or you know, being viewed suspiciously. We all know that you know, young African-American men disproportionately have involvement in criminal activities and violence for a lot of reasons. A lot of it having to do with poverty, a lot of it having to do with you know, disruptions in their neighborhoods and their communities, and failing schools and all those things. And that's no excuse, but what we also believe in is that people, everybody should be treated fairly, and the system should work for everyone. And so what I'm trying to do is just make sure that we have a conversation, and that we're all asking ourselves, are there some things that we can do to foster better understanding and to make sure that we don't have laws in place that encourage the kind of violent encounter that we saw there that resulted in tragedy.
Joining me now, Leno, NBC's interviewer-in-chief.
Well, thank you. I like you call the NBC campus. Campus implies that learning is going on.
Well, you had to walk across a little campus, not a lot of trees.
Walk across an abandoned field with the 20 years ago had a lot of life to it.
And you're in now the old building where you used to do the Tonight Show before they built this palace for you over there.
Yes. Palace.
But hey, you made news tonight. President Obama confirming to Leno that, which is a normal way of making news in this country, right? That he is going to attend the G20
Yeah, he did
summit.
say he made it official, so that was kind of interesting.
What else for you was the most interesting part of being in that conversation with him tonight?
I talked to him about how eloquent I thought he was on the Trayvon Martin story. You know, to speak off the cuff, I think took tremendous courage that way, because I'm not sure he knew what he was going to say when he said it, but you could tell he was speaking from the heart, and it was nice to hear him say that when he said it. I mean, he put, I think, every American in the shoes of the average black teenage man or teenage boy, and what it was like to be in that circumstance, and I thought he did it eloquently, and I thought he really got the point across.
I mean, so certainly he thought about it and said he'd been thinking about it before going out there, but there is that thing that you can tell as an interviewer, I think, when someone is sitting there and it's like, oh, they've worked this. Right. They've figured out this story. They've got a 4-minute story.
No, I didn't get that sense. That's what I like, because I can tell when you see his speeches, there's a cadence to it, because you know what's coming. So consequently, you can get in that cadence. And when he spoke that day, you could see, oh yeah, the door locks and the clicking, and you know, he was recounting in his own mind experiences he had had without alienating half the population, you know. And I thought he did a wonderful job of it. So
okay, so how do you do it? How do you get the first president ever to sit for an interview on a show like this? And now you get, what's this, the third time? Fourth time?
Sixth time.
No, but as president.
Fourth time as president. I think it's because I don't have an agenda. I don't go in there with there's no gotcha question. There's not, aha, well, let me ask you about that. I mean, I think the real trick is to let them answer the question, wait till they're finished talking, even though occasionally people get a little verbose, but that's okay. But at least they've finished, and then you move on the next question, and then you try and find, I think a lot of people are confused about Obamacare and the economy. They don't quite understand it. But they do understand Trayvon Martin. They do understand a story that has just shocked me, and I'm surprised it's not bigger, is Russia literally rounding up homosexuals.
Yes.
I mean, to me, this is Germany in 1933, you know. I mean, I think you and I were of that generation. When I was in school, they never told you, how did that happen? Well, how did, I mean, okay,
right.
Well, Hitler becomes a dictator, and he rounds up all the Jews. Well, but yeah, but how did, this is how it starts. You go for the homosexuals, oh, and then you go for the Jews, oh, and then pretty soon they come for you. And I asked him about that, and how he thought that would affect the Olympics and the upcoming G20 summit.
And when you get an interview like this, do you have, like, the greatest booker in the world who just calls the White House every day? Or does the White House say, hey, we're coming your way? Do you have any time for us?
Well, you know, there's a little bit of both. Because you do benefits, you do things, you nurture candidates as they come along. I mean, everybody that has run for president has been through, you know, from, I forgot his name,
that guy.
The little guy. The
Ross
guy from
Perot.
Ross Perot. I'm sorry, Ross Perot. I mean, every single candidate has come through. Even Christine O'Donnell. You give them all. I'm not here to judge. You tell us. You know, you can hang by your own rope if you want to, and so consequently, you nurture those relationships.
When they sit down, when a George W. Bush sits down as a candidate for the first time with you, do you get a feeling, have you had feelings once in a while where you're sitting there going, I think this is the one, I think he's the one who's going to make it all the way? Did you have that feeling with...
I don't know if I can say who's going to make it all the way. There are some I don't think they're ever going to make it. I never quite got the Rick Perry thing. That one.
You never fell for that.
No, I didn't. I never got that sense of gravitas. You know,
because all the pros, all the great political analysts thought, oh, when Rick Perry gets in there, look out, here he comes.
No, I never thought that. It was just too narrow-minded for me. Whether it was on gays or women's issues or whatever it might be. You know, people like Bill Clinton, like Hillary Clinton, you realize these are great minds at work, and they go and they think through their answers, and sometimes they're very good at evading it, and you get the sense, okay, they're trying to evade me, okay, we'll move on because I'm not going to get any more out of this. And then there are others that just kind of go, you know, Fred Thompson, I never quite got. I mean, one minute you're president, next minute it's reverse mortgages. Right. Wait a minute, wait.
Well, no, he did Law and Order in between.
Oh, Law and Order in between. Yeah, there are some I didn't quite get.
Barack Obama has been sitting in your guest chair over a span of 7 years now. We showed the clip of him that first time where you went right for the gold, the pot smoking in high school.
The Acapulco gold.
And it's fascinating to watch because you're looking at that and you say, okay, I'm not sure exactly how he would have answered that if Bill Clinton hadn't gone through the obviously phony I didn't inhale thing long before him.
The interesting you bring that up as I watch it now. Don't forget, this was way back when, and I think a lot of candidates would have brushed it off or laughed it off, but he said, that's the point, to inhale. Yeah. He owned it. I did it. I'm not perfect. Oh, thank you. And I think people appreciate that honesty. I think a lot of other candidates would have said, oh, there's a lot of talk, but not really, and you know, and sidestep the issue. So I think that was quite telling, actually.
And what you see in a moment like that, I think, is you see he has a confidence about the country he's living in, or at least about 55% of the voters of the country he's living in, that they're going to get that.
Well, the thing I like about him, he thinks the way I think. People are basically decent. I mean, if people didn't want to do the right thing, you couldn't have a country because there's not enough police. So people want to do the right thing. And if you can convince them and tell them from your heart, it's like a lot of people I find don't necessarily agree with President Obama's Obamacare, whatever, but they like the man and they sense that he's trying to do, he's not in it, he's not getting anything out of this himself. He seems to be doing it for the right reasons. So that's why I think it goes along and that's why it passes.